Take a look in a book, take a look in a book. What you're gonna find will open up your mind, from Shakespeare's lines to Mother Goose rhymes. When you learn to read, you set yourself free. Just open up a book. Take a look, take a look, yeah!
Hi, welcome to First Steps. I'm Ellen Phillips, Head of Children and Teen Services at the Enfield Public Library. First Steps is a 6-part series that informs residents about early education in the town of Enfield. The show's segments include story times, book talks by Enfield students, and lots of information on helping your child to succeed even before school begins. Our first segment, Raising a Reader, will give you many practical tips for encouraging early literacy in your child. Children learn about reading and writing long before they actually learn how to read and write, and there are some very simple things you can do to help them. Today, our early education consultant, Lisa Jordan, will discuss vocabulary development, which is a very important indicator of your child's later success in school. Then, in Countdown to Kindergarten, Kathy Carroll talks about the language arts curriculum for kindergartners. Kathy will tell you how to know the goals for your children so that you can help them start on the path to learning. Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is Lisa Jordan. I'm the kindergarten teacher at the grammar school at Summersville. I am here to talk with you today about vocabulary. Really interesting ways to enrich vocabulary with your child. Certainly we know that the child is one of the best learners we have. We know how children pick up sometimes things we aren't interested in them repeating, and I'm here to talk to you today about some ideas that will really enhance your child's vocabulary. And we always want to make sure the activities that we're providing for these types of are often presented in more of like a game style fashion versus any kind of competitive fashion. We want these activities to be really stress-free and really fun for your children. So 4-year-olds need a lot of help with adults for understanding, finding words that they need to express their needs. They may not have that in their repertoire. I do find in kindergarten we do a lot of I need to teach the children how to do peer conflict resolution. And what I actually do is I call it that I provide them with a social script. So I actually give them the words that they need to use. Very young children, 3s and 4s, they may not be comfortable even with being given the words. You would actually need to speak for them. So if, as an example, someone has taken someone's toy away from them in class, and the child has approached me and said, you know, so-and-so took my toy and they're sad. And I would ask them, did you use your words? Did you try to find words to use? And they may not be there yet. They may not have that comfort level. So I may actually need to go, and first I would say, you could say, please give me back my toy. They still may not be comfortable doing that. So I would actually need to walk with them to the friend and say, oh, excuse me. And I would speak as though I were the child. I would get very low. I would get up to the face of the other friend, and I would say, oh, excuse me, you know, I was still using that toy. And they would return it to me, and I would give it to my friend. So I'm modeling that kind of social behavior, and through vocabulary, through the vocabulary that I use. As the children grow older, I expect more of them. I would then expect they still may come and need my assistance. They want to let me know that someone has offended them in some way. I still need to follow through. Children of all ages vary in their ability, their confidence level to resolve conflicts on their own. I always need to be able to provide them with the words that they need. And particularly 4-year-olds, they really need the adults to give them the words that they need to express themselves. 4-year-olds are also very interested in large words. They love, we call them here monumental words. So we will try to find, how many ways can we say that the school lunch was delicious, or how many words can we use to describe the weather outside today. It was rainy, it was wet, it was dreary, it was drizzly, it was horrible. So we find as many ways as we can. Or we would say, let's write down 5 words to talk about Mom's dinner tonight. It was yummy, it was tasty, it was hot, it was good. We want to really find, help them to find more ways, and monumental words are really those big words that children really enjoy very much. Another wonderful activity that we can do with children is what I like to call vocabulary enrichment cards. So these are things you can find simply in any kind of magazine, in the newspaper, and just make a collection of interesting pictures. And that's a way to encourage conversation. Now I have, as a teacher, I've sort of made that into something else too that goes along with my geography unit. And every month we study a new continent. But I use this as a conversation folder. So when I introduce a continent, for example North America, I have created these folders, and that's how we begin. So of course I would have a map because this is a geography piece, but I have all kinds of really interesting, just different, I have landscape pictures, I have people, I have phenomenon, the Grand Canyon, I have all different animals that you might find on that continent. Here was, I just thought was cute. It's out of the newspaper of a moose and her baby. And then on the back, I have written different things. So this, I lay these out. The children pick them. They come now and then. So this says, huge fields of soybeans have been planted on this farm in Iowa. Most of the Midwest of the United States is covered by farmland. So that is an opening for a lot of conversation. This was a girl mixing batter in Mexico. So we would talk about things that looked the same. Does this look the same as what Mom made her cake batter in? How does the girl's clothes the same? What's in the picture? So that's really going to elicit a lot of conversation in landscape type of things. Does this look like it looks outside of our yard? Something about the Grand Canyon, the animals in this area. So you can certainly do this with any type of magazine, any type of newspaper, different things that may be of interest to your child, and find ways of extending that conversation with them. Another vocabulary enrichment that I like to help parents with is I call it 100 ways of saying very good. Again, children are looking all day to be validated. All day they are checking in with us to be sure that we know what's happening, we are aware what's going on, we notice them, we love them, we want to celebrate learning with them. So certainly when we respond to a child, perhaps they've worked very hard on a painting, perhaps they have been trying to write their name, and they bring it to an adult, rather than, certainly I do say good, I'm not saying we never say that, but I will, versus saying, oh, very good, and I'm on to something else, I'm busy, I know, they know that I have lots to do. What I like to do is really take a moment and respond to something specific about what they are showing me or what they're needing my attention for. So I may say, oh, I see you used a lot of blue in your painting today. So I'm validating them. Instead of just saying, oh, that's good, and moving on, I am giving them that recognition that they're looking for. So for a child that is wanting, Mommy, look at me, Mommy, look at my dance, Mommy, see my dress, all those kinds of things. We want to find lots of words, and that's a great vocabulary enrichment. So things like, oh, that's magnificent, or that's fantastic. And again, that can go into our monumental words part. Another important thing as an adult is that we model speaking in complete sentences for children. As darling as it is that they say it's froggy out, or they want, biscotti and meatballs for dinner, we need to let that go. We need to, as 4 years old on, we've enjoyed that for many years. Now we need to start speaking modeling the correct way to speak is an important piece for a child learning vocabulary. We want, and again, I don't correct the children, so if they say, oh, it's a very froggy day out, I don't, say, oh, it's not froggy, it's foggy. I would just say, it does seem foggy to me as well. So I am just repeating back correctly. Or modeling in a full sentence, or me want milk. I said, oh, I could say I would like to have a glass of milk. When I'm thirsty, I say, I'm thirsty. I would like a glass of milk, please. So just again, you're not specifically correcting them or drawing attention to what is wrong or what they're not doing. You are modeling and just simply repeating what you hope to hear back from them. Another fun game you can play with a child is called Tell Me About It. And this can be done with really any object in your household. I chose a block from our block shelf. So what you do is you're going to hand the object to your child. So you're going to name it and tell one thing about it. So I would say, if I'm first, I'm going to say this is a block and it's made of wood. And then I can pass it to my next family member, and they can say, this is a block, and it's made of wood, and it's smooth. And they can hand it back to me, and I can say, this is a block, and it's made of wood, and it's smooth, and it has lines on it. And we can continue back and forth. Again, if it's just two friends that playing that game, that's fine. If you have a whole table full of people, you can pass this around the table. A really nice activity to do when you're busy perhaps getting dinner ready. You have more than one child and they're needing something to do. You can hand them an object like this, or a teddy bear, anything that you can find around your house, and say, we're going to play the Tell Me About It game. Great vocabulary enrichment activity. Another fun thing to do with children, and kids love riddles. At school, I use something that we call a pocket chart, that I would love to show you a riddle that we have here. So I would read this to my class. I use this in my classroom. Again, there's those wonderful sentence strips. So I would read, a cricket does this with its leg. I do it with my ears. I do it when a siren sounds or people scream and cheer. What do I do? So we had been talking a lot about our senses and that kind of thing, and they get so excited because they're going to be able to turn over the card and see that it's here. This is what you do. So children love riddles, and we also, many of them did not know that a cricket hears with its leg. So we will do fun things like this, like I will challenge them to ask their parents when their parents pick them up. Mom and Dad, do you know what a cricket does with its leg? And they get a real kick out of that, about thinking that they know something that you don't. So this is just a fun activity to do as far as riddles go. I also like to do mystery riddles with the children, which are just verbal riddles, and I might do a week of food riddles. So I would say, what am I? I am red, I am crunchy, I grow on trees, and we might have these for snack. And the children will, oh, it's an apple. Or I'll say, I'm round, I'm sweet, I'm on a stick. And it's lollipop. They might need more clues, and you can ask them, do you need another clue? Do you need another clue? So mystery riddles, and you can do it with many, many types of things. Foods are easy for me, just because I can think of lots of ways to describe food. But mystery riddles are a really fun thing for children. And another activity to do is really, that's helps children really become actively engaged. Again, we're wanting to make sure that they're really listening and that they are actively engaged with what you're doing. So another activity you can do is to show your childhood photographs and tell them stories about then. Sadly, it's something that we seem to be missing more and more as our generations continue, is that sort of handing on of tales. Many children, when I'll introduce them to different kinds of, Johnny Appleseed tale or tall tales, they really don't have an understanding of, a tale is something that's handed down. Generally, it's verbally. So making up, telling them tales of your family, looking back at old photographs of Grandma and Grandpa when they were, married and, off on a vacation or working at the farm or any of those kinds of things, and really stretching out that as far as vocabulary goes, really describing what you're seeing. And if they're in a beautiful dress, it's, this is what dresses were made of, muslin. This was, a poplin dress, and that material felt like this, and those kinds of things. So those are all really wonderful ideas for you to help your child with their vocabulary enrichment.
Hello, my name is Kathy Carroll, and today I would like to talk to you about the kindergarten curriculum in the area of language arts. This year, kindergarten teachers have been lucky enough to be introduced to something called Lively Letters, which is a program that begins teaching children letter sounds, and then it moves to lowercase letters. The capital letters come in as well, and then we move to high-frequency words. And the children are actually putting these sounds and letters together to make words right away. And we would hope that they would be utilizing these sounds and letters together for writing as well. Of the 44 sounds, there are 21 that I've done so far. And there are pictures that are associated with each letter. But it begins with a story. And if the children haven't been able to recall the letter name or even the sound to start off with, they're able to tell me the story, which leads them into the sound and then ultimately leads them to the letter. So it's been an amazing program. It's working very well for us. You'll see that there are some vowels that I have out already, A and O, and with those we can make words for the kids so that they're actually starting to, they're not only naming a letter or associating a sound of the letter to an actual letter, but we're also using those sounds together to make words. And the children are doing a very nice job with it, so we're looking forward to seeing what they look like at the end of the school year. I don't want to speak for every kindergarten teacher, but many kindergarten teachers do keep in close contact with the parents with newsletters for their parents, letting them know what their children are learning in school, whether it be weekly or monthly, and providing the information about what letters are being taught and worked on and what sounds and what high frequency words. Letters and sounds go together to make words, as we know, and those words go together to make sentences. So another piece of the language arts curriculum is reading. And in the area of reading for kindergarten, we want children to be able to tell a story by looking at the pictures, because that's a valuable message that we send in kindergarten. We want the children to be able to listen to a story, but also talk about the story. They learn about characters and setting and what happened first, next, and last. Was there a problem? What was the problem? And how was the problem solved? And we'd like them to be able to relate a book to their own experiences, because that's how we learn, from our own experiences. And also, we like to have the children write about stories, their favorite part and why, and they begin first by drawing a picture, and then they use the letters and the sounds that they know to the best of their ability to tell the story about their picture. And that's what they do in the area of writing as well. So that was my job for today, to be able to tell you what our curriculum looks like in the area of language arts. Again, my name is Kathy Carroll. I teach at the Alcorn Elementary School, and I just want to remind you that if you have any questions or concerns for your child's teacher, that you go to them and express them right away. And thank you so much for listening.
That don't know who John Lithgow is. I know all the parents do, right? Yeah. This is actor John Lithgow that wrote this book. He's on the back. Who saw Shrek? Did everybody see Shrek?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember in the first Shrek, there was a prince, and he sent Shrek to go find Fiona because he was going to marry her, Prince Farquhar? Yeah. That's this guy. He wrote this book. Okay? It's one of my favorite. I think it's got a great message. And it's Mahalia. Mahalia Mouse. All right. The skies of September were bursting with rain, pelting the old dormitory. It filled every gutter and choked every drain. Chapter 1 of Mahalia's story. A family of mice huddled up to keep warm. Their basement was flooded with water. The mother peered out at the furious storm, then turned and addressed her young daughter. Mahalia, darling, she said with a sigh, your father's not back till tomorrow. So wrap up a newspaper, keep yourself dry, and find us some cheese or a scrap of meat pie. The children are starving, the babies may die. Then she faltered, consumed by her sorrow. Mahalia hugged her, then scampered outside, sheltered by clumps of wisteria. In minutes she found a secure place to hide, in a hall by the dorm cafeteria. Nearby lay a backpack, unclaimed on the floor, smelling of cheese and roast beef. Mahalia climbed up inside to explore, like a seasoned, self-confident thief. She found a fat sandwich and plucked out the cheese, stuffing it into her sack. But suddenly, zip, a sharp sound made her freeze as everything faded to black. Imprisoned in darkness, she tumbled and tossed. But what could Mahalia do? Tormented by fears of a grim holocaust, she pictured her home and her family lost. A sack full of cheese had been bought at such cost. Mahalia's Tale, Chapter 2. The backpack went bump as it came to a rest, and then zip opened up to the light. Peeping outside it, the mouse was distressed by a strange, unfamiliar sight. A room unlike any she'd been in before, full of rows upon rows of young students. In terror, she beat a retreat to the door, repenting her recent imprudence. But a voice held Mahalia fast in her place. This course is extremely advanced. It concerns the behavior of atoms in space, their collisions and fissions, their motion and pace. Don't take it unless you're an absolute ace. Mahalia Mouse was entranced. In her lonely new lodgings, she took the course on, overwhelmed by its daunting regime. But one night as she slept, in the hour before dawn, her mother appeared in a dream. My baby, she said in a quavering voice, you're off to a wonderful start. Don't think about us, just believe in your choice. Be happy and follow your heart. Thereafter, whenever she sneaked into class, the mouse would recall every word. But one day in the midst of a lecture, alas, the unthinkable finally occurred. A mouse! An ear-splitting shriek pierced the air, and instantly chaos took hold. Where? People screamed. Over there, over there. Some ran for an exit. Some leaped on a chair. Mahalia trembled with fright and despair, felt the blood in her body run cold. The professor stepped forward. To calm the class down, he stood at Mahalia's side. He stared at her notes with a studious frown. This mouse is a genius, he cried. Her grasp of the subject is sharp as a blade. This rodent will study with me. By noon, he had kept the bold promise he'd made. Her books were all purchased, her lab fees were paid. Her doubts and her fears were completely allayed. Mahalia Mouse, Chapter 3. That day marked the start of 4 glorious years. Mahalia Mouse went to college. Admired and respected by all of her peers, she gathered a broad range of knowledge. Along with her major, she dabbled in art, in history, math, and zoology, but one course especially captured her heart, the basics of human psychology. Activities, too, filled Mahalia's days. For no shrinking violet she, fencing and football, recitals and plays, glee club and squash, a brief square dancing phase. At the end of 4 years of achievement and praise, it was time to receive her degree. She giddily braced for her June graduation. 100 reporters all sought her, and that's how her parents, in wild jubilation, stumbled on news of their daughter. At commencement, Mahalia marched with her class, perched on a friend's brawny shoulder. Thousands of well-wishers saw the mouse pass, craning their necks to behold her. All at once she went pale. Her palms were like ice. Her face wore a stricken expression. Her eyes were transfixed by a family of mice crouched alongside the procession. "My mother, my father," Mahalia cried as she skittered on down to the ground. When she landed, her family rushed to her side, exploding with love, with relief, and with pride. A jumble of feelings too joyous to hide, for the child they lost had been found. And so we take leave of Mahalia's tale, a story of stout self-reliance, an epic account on a miniature scale of a mouse who set forth on life's bumpy trail and succeeded by simply refusing to fail. Mahalia, Bachelor of Science.
Thanks for joining us for First Steps. I hope you were watching as Lisa Jordan discussed some fun and simple ways to increase your child's vocabulary. Notice in this next segment how vocabulary is used by Polly Parker of Asnuntuck Community College. Polly does not simply read the story, but also invites the child to participate in it. You might have your children name objects on the page, discuss their feelings about the story, or predict what they think will happen next. You should try to ask questions that elicit more than a yes or no response to really allow your children to participate in the reading. Of course, the main goal, as usual, is to just enjoy the story.
Hello, my name is Polly Parker, and I coordinate the Early Childhood Education Program at Asnuntuck Community College. And today we're here in the Sensory Motor Room, which is part of our academic program for early childhood education. At the college, we offer a free childcare program called the Children's Reading Room. And every week, the children join the college students in this classroom where the students design developmentally appropriate activities. In the sensory motor room, the children learn through their senses, and through exploration and discovery with our college-level students, they're able to learn and play together. You know, reading aloud offers opportunities to engage children in their knowledge about what they know and what they've experienced. Children come to stories with knowledge, and I like to include the children. When I read the story, I like to have them answer questions, have them look at the details in the pictures. It really stimulates their cognitive abilities, it stimulates their language. Books offer so many opportunities for learning and for language development. I think it's so important to read to infants, and I have all different kinds of books in the classroom for infants, toddlers, preschoolers. This is such an important time for families to bond, to spend time together in a very meaningful way. And I like to include the children in the stories and see what they see in the pictures and how it relates to their lives. Today, I'm reading a story to Jessie, who has joined us from the Children's Reading Room. The name of the story is called Not a Stick, and the author and illustrator are Antoine Portis. This is an excellent book for early reading. It's really geared for children 3 to 5 years old. The illustrations are very bold, they portray the stick, and they help children talk about the importance of imagination and pretending. This book before?
Yeah, we did Spread Circle Santa Montana.
You did Santa Montana. Do you see what this little person's holding?
Yeah.
What's this right here? It's called Not a Stick. What do you think he's holding?
A stick.
That's right, he's holding a stick. So let's find out why he's holding a stick. There he is, and look what he's looking up at. You see, this is a tree, and this is a trunk, and this is the stick. It says, hey, be careful with that stick. Has anyone ever said that to you? Be careful with that stick. When you pick up a stick from the ground. Has anyone ever said that to you, Jessie? Be careful with that stick. And you know what Jessie says? This This isn't a stick. It's not a stick. What is it, Jessie? What does it look like? What is that little boy doing?
A squid.
Yes, and what is this right here? Going down into the water with a fish. Do you know what that's called?
A squid.
It's a fishing pole.
It's a fishing.
And you see the shark, don't you?
Yeah.
So this little boy says, it's not a stick. It's a fishing pole. Now look what he pretends with a stick. Look, be careful where you're going with that stick. Let's see what he makes the stick into now. He says, Jessie, what is the little boy doing now? What is he pretending to do with his stick?
Like this.
Yes, he's holding it like that, and he's in a marching band. Do you see the band and the drum? It's not a stick. And they say it to him again. Watch where you're pointing that stick. And look what he does. Look what he's doing with the stick now, Jessie. What's he pretending to do with that stick? Can you tell?
To paint the stick.
Exactly. He's painting a beautiful picture. He's pretending it's a paintbrush. It's not a stick. It's a paintbrush. He's using his imagination with a stick. Now what are you doing with the stick? Shall we turn the page and find out? Oh my goodness. It's not a stick. Do you know what that is?
It's a big hard.
That's right. It's big and it's hard and it's heavy. And what do you do with it? Do you know?
No, I don't do with it.
Yeah, you raise it up over your head. It's called a barbell.
I don't like barbell.
Yeah, he's making his muscles very strong by lifting up that heavy barbell. He's pretending that's what it is. And then the voice says, don't trip on that stick. Be careful. Be careful with the stick. But is it really a stick to him? He says, I'm telling you, it's not a stick. What is he pretending now with a stick?
He's pretending the horse.
He's pretending he's riding a horse. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you still standing with that stick? Does he still have it in his hand?
Yeah.
Yes, he does. Let's see what he pretends now. This is not a stick. What is he pretending now? Can you tell by that picture?
In the dark.
He's in the dark, you're right. And what else is he wearing? Eyes right there. Some eyes right there.
What's that again?
Maybe he's hunting with a stick, do you think?
Hunting.
Yes, it looks like a spear. Maybe he's going
It's
to...
not a stick, right?
It's not a stick, you're right. He's pretending it's something other. And the last picture say, okay, then what is it if it's not a stick? And look at this picture.
It's a stick. And it's not a stick, right?
And there's another stick right there. Do you know what this animal is called?
A dragon.
That's right, it's a dragon. He's pretending he's a knight and he lives in this. Do you know what that's called?
Yeah. And the princess.
That's right, and there's a princess and a prince.
The princess circus.
That's right, and it's in a castle. So now his stick has become what? A sword.
A sword.
Yes, he's pretending he's a prince, lives in a castle, and he's fighting the dragon.
And he's saving the princess.
He is saving the princess, that's right. He's protecting her, isn't he? And that's the end of the story. It's not a stick. Thank you very much for listening. Did you like that book? Would you like to look at it yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you may play.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Matthew Francis. I'm from Enfield. I go to Enfield Street School, and I'm in grade 4. The book I read was Goosebumps Horrorland, Monster Blood for Breakfast by R.L. Stein. The main part about this book is that this little piece of monster blood gets into somebody's cereal, and it keeps on growing and growing, and then And my favorite part of the book is that the monster blood eats everybody. I would recommend this book to a friend because this book has really a lot of really good details.
I'm Bigamy, so I'm a student at Eli Whitney. I'm in the 4th grade, and Do Rocks Intrigue You? Well, then you'll flip for DK Eyewitnesses Rocks and Minerals. It tells about what tools to use when observing a rock. You can find your favorite rock. You can find your favorite rock, and my favorite rock is on page 53, and it's called A Gate. It also tells about ancient artifacts and Earth's oldest rocks from space. Plus, it has perfect photos and it's very colorful. So please try this book. Bye!
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Santi. I am in the 4th grade, and I am from Enfield Street School. And the book I read was Obi. It's by Michael Delaney, and it's about a gerbil named Obi, and it's a girl, surprising, and she and her family is going on vacation, and she doesn't know it, but then when the babysitter comes and doesn't feed her, she escapes from her cage to try to find some food. My favorite part about this book is that Obi goes downstairs to try, and it's night, and she tries to find some food, and this parrot named Mr. Smithers wakes up, and Obi tells Mr. Smithers to be quiet because he woke up, and Mr. Smithers says be quiet, and it keeps on going and going. And I would recommend this book to a friend because it's really, really funny.
We'll close today's show once again with performances from the 2009 Connecticut Loves to Read Day, which is a celebration of reading sponsored by the Enfield Public Schools and hosted by the library. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of First Steps, and remember, it's never too early to help your child take the first steps on the path to reading.
I made a mistake. I went to the bathroom to brush my hair.
I made a mistake and brushed a bear.
I went to the kitchen to bake a pie.
I made a mistake and baked a pie.
I went through my drawers to find a blouse.
I made a mistake and found a mouse.
I went to the well to make a wish.
I made a mistake and kissed a fish.
I went to the laundry to wash my socks.
I made a mistake and washed a box.
I went to the store to buy a cake.
I made a mistake and bought a snake.
I went to the closet to put on my hat.
I made a mistake and put on a cat.
I went to the store to find my friend.
I made a mistake and found the end.
I went to my bed to have a nap. I made a mistake and had a slap. I went to the playscape to go on a swing. I made a mistake and fell on a daisy. I went to the yard to get a stool. I made a mistake and fell in a pool.
I went to the store to buy a pan. I made a mistake and bought a man. I went to the closet to put on a dress. I made a mistake and made a huge mess. I went to the bathroom to wash a mat. I made a mistake and washed the cat.
I went to the pet shop to get a dog. I made a mistake and got a log. I went to the store to get a goat. I made a mistake and got a goat. I went to the restaurant to get a shake. I made a mistake and got a snake.
I went to the farm to see a pink pig. I made a mistake and saw a pig wearing a wig. I went to the bathroom to clean a dog. I made a mistake and cleaned a rug. I went to the library to check out a book. I made a mistake and got a dirty book.
I went to the kitchen to wash
a cat. I made a mistake and washed a rat. I went to the library to get a book. I made a mistake and got a book. I went to the store to buy a hat. I made a mistake and bought a cat.
I went to the school to clean a desk. I made a mistake and cleaned a nest. I went to the park to play ball. I made a mistake and played a ball. I went to the store to buy a collar. I made a mistake and bought $1. I went to the house to find a cat. I made a mistake and found a rat. I went to the store to get a fish. I made a mistake and got a wish. I went to the well to spend a wish. I made a mistake and got a dish.
I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth and made a mistake and brushed the beach. I went to McDonald's to get some French fries and made a mistake and got some French fries. I went to my room to hide my shame and made a mistake and took the blame.
I went to the kitchen to get a snack. I made a mistake and fell on a tack. I went to the movies to see a show. I made a mistake and stubbed a toe. I went to the park to have a good time. I made a mistake and got in a crime.
My name is Jenny. My name is Maxwell Connor Anderson. What is the name of your book? Who was Louis Armstrong? Why did you choose to read this person? I chose to read about this person, Louis Armstrong, because he loved to play music. Tell me 5 facts that you learned about this person. Louis Armstrong began playing the concert at age 9. Louis started his first singing band at age 10. In 1925, Louis Armstrong started playing the trumpet. He never went to high school. He wrote 2 books and 10 magazine articles. Louis stood up to racism during the time of segregation. Tell me about this person that you'll never forget. I will never forget Louis Armstrong. He loved to play musical instruments. My name is Max Anderson. What is the name of your book? John F. Kennedy. Why did you choose to read about this person? I chose to read about John F. Kennedy because he's the only president that was Irish Catholic. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. He was born on May 29, 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts. He had 3 brothers and 5 sisters. At age 30, doctors told him why he was sick so much. He had Addison disease, but his family kept a secret. Tell me something about this person that you will never forget. John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas, Texas by Lee Pagliaro on November 22nd, 1963. My name is Haley Fisher. So I go back. We do my book. What is the name of your book? In your own words, Abraham Lincoln. Why did you choose to read about this person? I think Abraham Lincoln had an important life back then. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. I learned that Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States. He wanted the slaves to be free and live their own lives. I learned that he got shot by John Wilkes Booth. 2 of Abraham Lincoln's sons died of sickness. The first time Abraham Lincoln ran for president, he lost. Tell me something about this person that you will never forget. That he did everything he could to free the slaves and to make his people feel right at home and safe. I'm Megan. What is the name of your book? Anne Frank, Life in Hiding. Why did you choose to read about this person? My mom told me I'd like to learn about home. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. Anne had a mother, a father, and a sister. Her family hid from the Nazis for 2.5 years. Anne hid with another family. On Anne's 13th birthday, she got a diary and named it Kitty. She went into hiding at 13. Tell me something about this person that you will never forget. It was only 2 months until the war was over when Anne died. Gabrielle. What is the name of your book? Babe Ruth. Why did you choose to read about this person? I chose Babe Ruth because he was a famous baseball player. I have wanted to learn about him since I went to Yankee Stadium. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. Babe Ruth is from Baltimore, Maryland. His real name is George Ruth. He was sent to Maryland St. Mary's when he was 7 because he kept getting in trouble. This is where he learned to play baseball. In 1914, 1 week after his 19th birthday, he started playing minor league baseball with the Baltimore Orioles. After 14 games, Babe was on his way to the major leagues to play for the Boston Red Sox. In 1920, Babe Ruth was sold to the New York Yankees. By 1934, he had hit 700 home runs and was one of baseball's legends. Tell me something about this person that you will never forget. In 1918, Babe Ruth played for the Boston Red Sox and they won the World Series. When he was sold to the New York Yankees, the Red Sox never won a World Series due to the curse of the Bambino. Babe continued to play in his World Series games as a Yankee. My name is Ariana. What is the name of your book? Susan B. Anthony. Why did you choose to read about this person? Because she was the first woman to fight for women's rights. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. When Susan was growing up, most girls did not go to school. Susan loved to read. Women got paid less for doing the same job. Women were not allowed to vote. Susan believed that women should have the same rights as men. Tell me something about this person that you'll never forget. That Susan believed that women should have the same rights as men. I'm Nick. What is the name of your book? David Ortiz. Why did you choose to read about this person? I chose to read about David because I liked him and I liked the baseball team he's on. Tell me 5 facts you learned about this person. David's full name is David Americo Ortiz. He's been on the Red Sox since 2003. David was born November 18, 1975. He weighs 230 pounds and his height is 6'4". Tell me something about this person you'll never forget. In his career, David hit 289 home runs.
Take a look in a book, take a look in a book. What you're gonna find will get you hooked. Read a little more about your team, about the score. Just open up a book, take a look. Take a look. Take a look in a book, take a look in a book. No matter what your age, turn a page, turn a page. You can open any door when you read a little more. Just open up a book, take a look. Take a look. Take a look in a book, take a look in a book. What you're gonna find will open up your mind, from Shakespeare's lines to Mother Goose rhymes. When you learn to read, you set yourself free. Just open up a book. Yeah!